Why can't it ever just be easy? This, as you may or may not recognize, is Phil's My filter! My filter! So this is Phil's ITX gaming rig. It's got a RTX 3090 in there. It's got an i7 13700K. He's been dealing with some temperature issues, and although this is a fantastically performing chassis, I always told him, I'm like, we should totally water cool your rig, and he was like, okay.
Yeah, you don't say no.
So now I gotta figure out how to fit all that in here.
We interrupt this video to bring you a special message from iFixit. No, we interrupt this interruption with this interruption about new stuff from iFixit. Wish you had a new graphics card, but inventory sucks? Fix the inventory problems with iFixit. Whoa, don't drop it. Can't fix that with iFixit. Just kidding, yes you can. Wish you could take iFixit with you anywhere, but your pockets aren't big enough? Introducing the new More
And the new Minnow.
Take them with you anywhere. So get iFixit for your loved ones, or just get them for yourself.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take another one. We're just gonna stick it on top, and that'll hold the rads, the radiator box, and see if you cool it. Actually, no, I'm just kidding. I have a second one, so we're gonna build into this one, if that makes sense. Mostly because this one's perfectly clean, although this is cleaner than I expected it to be. I just figured it'd be way dustier than this. It's dusty, but it's not terrible. Anyway, I gotta get his parts out of here. And I gotta figure out how I wanna do this. So this is typically what's in there. It comes with this 280 AIO. It's a Cooler Master deal. It's already like plumbed in and stuff. But Phil's temperatures have been bouncing up into the 90s, and he said he feels like over time it's gotten slightly worse. So we're starting to think that maybe the AIO is starting to give it up a little bit. Maybe the thermal paste is dried up or something. So rather than just service the AIO, we're gonna go ahead and see about doing a full water-cooled build in here. So I have two 240 rads sitting right here, even though it technically doesn't support a 240 on the bottom. I don't think I'm gonna use these radiators, even though I have them right now. I did order a 280 for the top and a matching 240 for the bottom that are the same brand. That way they look the same. But it's gonna be interesting because what I'm seeing people do is they'll put a radiator on the bottom, and then if they get a short enough water block on here, they'll put a fan on one side of that, like one half of that rad, and then the other half is just passive cooling. But even having a radiator sit there with one fan on it is better than having no rad down there at all. And by having the heat added to the loop from the 3090, we certainly need more than one radiator. So need to just kind of see what all we can fit into this thing. So rather than sit here and talk about it a million, as we go, well, I guess we're gonna do this maybe sort of a build montage type style. It's gonna be a single video for this whole thing. It's not, feels like I need my computer, man. I need to do my games. I gotta play my Starfield. Yeah. So I can't sit here and take, 3 months. I guess I can. Phil has a laptop.
Yeah.
But still, I don't wanna do that.
Incoming long-term ally review.
Hey, 3 months is an improvement, man. Just wait 3 years like everyone else. All right, well, let's just start with the teardown at least and get to the parts. Actually, no, before we do that, let's talk about the loop. I showed you these rads that are backup plan. They're basically plan B. I'm gonna end up using the EK Quantum Velocity 2 CPU water block combo if it will not be too tall to where it gives me a problem with the graphics card. My issue is that with how tall this is, and I've done an unboxing of this already, is it going to push it so far out that we'll have a problem? I guess it doesn't matter because they do give us side ports. So, too bad you won't be able to see it.
I know.
It's gonna be behind the GPU. I do also have this 3090 Gaming X Trio if I decide I wanna just throw a big GPU in there, but then the problem is this won't give me the height that I need to be able to get a fan in the bottom rad. So, and it does fit in there, which is kind of neat. But I do also have these. This is the Quantum Vector block for the 3080/3090. It is a clear plexi. And I can't remember if the back plate is black or nickel. Doesn't really matter since you're not gonna see it. But this block, as you can see, frees up some space on the end, right? Versus the length of the card itself. But I don't know if it'll be enough to still fit a fan. I think even in the worst case scenario, if I wasn't able to fit a fan in the bottom, would still put the radiator down there, because if we have enough airflow coming out the top and those fans are sucking air through, it will pull some air through that radiator. It won't be as efficient as I would hope, But this is why now I'm saying this is a little bit of like a challenge build, if you will. So let's just sort of do some montage and we'll talk about it periodically. I'll find some stopping points and show you some of the pain points and how I'm trying to overcome them. So temperature related. This might be a reason why his CPU is getting kind of warm. As you can see, it's a little bit on the thin side. You can see how it's thin and we can see the copper through there, but look, you can also see the IHS through there. I wish Cooler Master, I almost said Corsair, I wish Cooler Master gave us like an option to be able to move this out one slot, because it has it based on 3-slot on the back panel here. So we have a 3-slot card support. However, because it's on the rear slot, I don't have enough room between these fittings here and the back plate to not hit the graphics card. If this were able to come out one more slot, it'd be great. I don't think I have one that's even like a little bit longer. I think all the other ones I have are like long ones, so it's not gonna help. So the ports on the side right here, they do clear the RAM. The problem is I can't thread on my 90-degree because it hits the RAM. Okay, so I'm swapping out Phil's RAM for this Crucial DDR5 Pro. Unfortunately, it's 5,600 mega transfers per second, whereas his is 6,000. And we were discussing this a little bit. He basically said, I said, you probably won't notice a difference between 5,600 and 6,000. And then he was like, well, he has a bigger problem of over 90 degrees on his system. So by cooling it down, that's gonna be probably a better overall experience for him than losing 400 megahertz on the RAM. Not to mention, he is getting the bonus of the cost of the parts that's going in here for absolutely no. This is literally like, this is probably gonna be close to a $1,500 loop. So, once I open it, you can't return it.
Okay.
I need my scissors. Okay, so I just went through all the effort to get this vector block ready to go, which is very nice looking. It's very pretty, by the way. But it's for a reference card and not a founder's card. So now I'm gonna use the Corsair block. At least I have extra blocks. I mean, it's not gonna match perfectly. Like, I think Phil will still be okay with this, but this was marked 3080/3090, but clearly it's only a 3080 because it does not fit. Now we're stuck. We were doing so well. All right, so while I'm cleaning up my mess here from my disappointment, I have a solution. I checked online. Corsair does have the 3090 Founders Edition block that will be here Friday. Because at this point, I'm not gonna put this card back together with the Founders Edition cooler. I'm gonna put the water block on it, and then we'll just, I'll use that in another build somewhere and along the lines, we'll get a 3090 or something, because what's gonna be here tomorrow is actually the 4080 Tough block. So I'm gonna put that on the 4080 Tough, and I'm gonna put a 4080 in this. So Phil's getting an upgrade. Usually my ups lead to someone else's gain. It's fine, we have a lot of 4080s hanging around, so I'm gonna use that same Tough card that we had put the other Corsair block on. Ironically, the one that we hated, we're gonna put the Corsair's full cover block on there, because here's the thing that sucks, look at this. When they saw my video, they were like, oh, you didn't like our block? Fine, we'll send you the full cover one. But they sent it for a 4090.
Oh no, you're gonna put, no, I'm kidding.
I don't have a 4090 Tough.
Oh yeah.
It's for a Tough or a Strix, but I don't have a Strix either. The Strix is in mine and in Brian's. Yeah. So anyway, otherwise I could have kept going right now with this, but I double checked the PCBs. They are not the same, so I cannot use this block. So this version of the 4080 Tough will be in here tomorrow. And then whenever it's in, I guess I'll just have to grab it and try and finish this as fast as possible. So Phil, you may not get it back till Friday at this point.
That's fine.
But I'm working on it. Yeah, your ally, and now that you know you're getting a 4080,
Yeah.
you know. So fast forward to when the shit comes. Why can't it ever just be easy? Okay, so it's the next day and I have had a, I don't want to say catastrophic, because so far I'm overcoming all these problems, but I have had a cascading of events. Okay, first of all, the radiators came. So here's the rads that we're using. These are the X whatever frickin' Corsair calls them, I forget. Oh, the XR5 rads, a 240 for the bottom and a 280 for the top. It's gonna be so interesting getting the top one in there because with fans and stuff, like it doesn't just fit. So I have to take the top piece off to drop it down in. That is the simplest of the things I'm having to overcome today. First of all, I wanted to run a 120 on this side of the rad so that it can pull some air through. Well, here's the 4080 Tough that I've already taken the cooler off of. And as you can see, the PCB, does have a little bit longer extension to it. Like a reference design actually only comes to about right here at the end of the slot, which would have been perfect. Also too, a thing that helps by doing it this way actually, is this is a dual slot IO on the back, whereas the 3090 was a triple slot. So I would have had to have hacked off one of these slots just to be able to push it forward into that farther slot, which was one of the first problems we overcame. Let's take the radiator and let's go ahead and just mount it in here so that we can show you guys the next cascade of challenge, if you will. I enjoy a challenge. I just wanted to get this done. It's Techtoberfest. I want to get this, lots of content for you guys so that you guys have lots of stuff to watch, but at least this one will be interesting. All right, so with this rad right here, and it's loose right now so I can slide it, the PCB, if I go ahead and just slot this in, you can see now, there is zero way I was gonna fit a fan right here. I even grabbed the slim Silverstone fan, the 15 mil fan that came out of the Tiki, and it doesn't fit in there either. It won't slot down. But this besides the point, the reason why it didn't fit is because I did have this on there initially because of the cables and stuff, but you know what? I've got a couple things I wanna try which may still not use that fan right there. But anyway, if you take a look at the riser cable, you can see that clearly is not gonna give me room because of the rad. So I couldn't slide the radiator forward because the power plug sticks in. Remember, this is a power plug extension cable to the PSU. It sticks in the case. Well, I remembered on the Tiki build from Falcon Northwest, they have this spacer that they made for this exact reason. And it's funny because Kelt, who's the president and CEO of the company, he's the designer of all their cases. Clearly he's dealt with this before, so he made this spacer. Well, I can't take it out of my build, but what I did have is old hardware for different CPU coolers and stuff. And I happened to use an AIO that was 6/32 threaded on one end and M3 threaded on the other end, which is perfect for me to just thread this on the outside, which now gives me the room to be able to pull the radiator. Let me get this out of here. So I'm just gonna have to trim the PCB a little bit here so you can see how it's hitting on this part that extends out. Fortunately, there's no traces or anything in there. But the nice thing is that means this GPU will fit within the confines of the dip in the radiator. Because the people that have been building in these and putting in lower rads are using ultra slim rads, which are like really, really thin. This is a full 30 mil rad. So I bit off a little more than I could chew, but I am enjoying the challenge. The next thing I want to deal with is I want to see if I can come up with some sort of feet to make these feet taller, even if I attach something to the bottom to make it like rubber standoff, because I would like to take the two ultra slims and mount them on the bottom if I can, just to assist with getting air up through this radiator so the top fans aren't having to do everything. All right, so now I have to trim that PCB.
NZXT's Build is a quick and easy way to get a new gaming computer. Build a gaming PC on your budget using the built-in configurator and see exactly how your favorite games will perform. Don't want to spec it yourself? Then choose from BLD's pre-configured player PC systems designed to fit your needs and budget. To see the full lineup and specs of the NZXT BLD Player Series pre-built PCs, follow the sponsored link in the description below.
it's done as far as I can tell. We've tested the components individually except for the CPU with the block on it. But I did test the GPU on my test rig. I tested the bottom fans. Everything is looking pretty good. So we got the 280 up top. We got the Lee & Lee Uni fans, or the SL140s right here. We've got our 120 on the bottom. Could not fit a fan right here as much as I tried, but that's okay. Because what we did is Nick 3D printed these spacers that sort of matched the shape of the original feet. And I was able to add 10 millimeters of spacing. So now the 15 mil low profile fans will push air through. I mean, they're not the greatest fan for this type of application. And we probably could have even gone with thicker feet and put 120 high static pressures down there, but I didn't want it to look ridiculous. But this will assist with getting air through that bottom rad. And then obviously the top fans are really good at pulling air out of the chassis. But now that we have a 280 and a 240, I really feel like the 4080 that's in here, as well as the 13700K, should stay fairly cool. Let's talk about filling it, because obviously filling it from the top or having a large reservoir is not present. So I have this piece protruding out the front, which is just my drain, but this cap will just cap off this when we're not using it. You'll turn the valve so that it's off. So that's the valve off, and then we cap it. Anyway, you can see it clears the front panel just fine and hides away. But if we need to get this to the highest point of the loop for filling, so I've actually been having a hell of a time filling this loop. So it even looks empty right here. It kind of is, because I finally got the lower rad to fill. You'll notice a lot going on in the front right here. So I even tried using a piece of tube here to get it to the highest point in the loop, but the problem is the air has a hard time getting out of that. So it dawned on me that this pump has two fill ports. So when I opened up one of the fill ports, get this off, right here, it was still bone dry. I was able to pump a lot of fluid into there. And as I was pumping fluid in there, I heard it sort of filling the lower rad, because it comes out of the lower rad and goes up into here from the lower rad as the out. Because it goes out to the lower rad first, then through the GPU, then GPU to the top rad, and then top rad and back into the CPU. So I put this 90-degree fitting on there, and this tube that's running out to the front, in fact, I'm gonna put it like right there maybe. And now that's gonna basically be my reservoir, where when I'm filling the system, what I have to do now is flip it up on its backside, and then that tube will be the highest point in the loop. So that will be feeding the pump. You can still see there's so much air in the loop. That'll be feeding the pump as the pump is taking that fluid and moving into the loop. So eventually this will be filled. I'll have another valve on the end of it to cap it off. It's actually how I did Skunkworks back in the day. I just had a lower tube, soft tube in the bottom of the rad of Skunkworks with the valve on the end that I use as a drain. I just have to do that as the same concept for a fill. This is just what you deal with when you don't have a reservoir. Reservoirs make life easy. And I probably could have fit one right here, if you want to know the truth. I probably could have, but whatever. Unless the reservoir is feeding the CPU, or in this case, the CPU block / pump combo, it has to feed the pump first, which it wasn't. So now this should hopefully work. Well, if it's not one thing, it's another thing.
Frick.
Anyway, it boots, it works, and then it just triggers OCP at random points and shuts itself off. Don't know what's causing that. Nothing is like pinched as far as I can tell. There's no leaks or anything anywhere. There's a lot of stuff kind of going on down next to the motherboard where the RAM and stuff is, but of course that is the most buried part of the system. I want to see if I can get this to turn on real quick just so you guys can sort of see what I'm talking about. So this video, turn on? No, it's not going to turn on right now. See, then the power button goes dead. We got a red light on the GPU. I don't know. I know the overcurrent protection is being triggered and then it's resetting after a while. I don't know what's causing it. Unfortunately, you guys aren't going to know what's causing it right now either, because I'm ending this video here. And now I have to turn this into we figured out what was wrong with Phil's computer and fix it. And then you can see all the beauty shots and stuff of it. But anyway, this is what happens sometimes. And these intermittent problems, these are the worst problems. Because if something's consistent, that's easy to troubleshoot. But when it just goes, nope. Like we thought maybe the riser cable right here was touching something on the GPU, like on the radiator, it's not touching anything now. It's just floating there, and I got cardboard in between it because I was trying to isolate it to make sure the bottom of the PCB wasn't touching anything. It's got like electrical ribbon type fabric on the bottom of it anyway to protect it, but it's not touching anymore, as you can see. I just want to see if I can get it to turn on, so I want you guys to see this. Like, Phil even got a chance to do a Cinebench run. I can tell you he hit like 87C on the loop, or on the CPU temp, and it said it was power limiting, which is the first time he's seen that. He said normally it would hit 95C and thermal throttle immediately before with the AIO, so we know there's an improvement.
That was with the fans like not ramping up and stuff too, because
Yeah, the fans didn't even ramp up. See, the thing is I can't get it to turn back on, but OCP will reset on its own. It's usually like a little time breaker kind of a deal built in. Fortunately, out of the other system, I do have another power supply if it ends up being a power supply issue, which I don't think it is. Anyway, that's where we're gonna end it, guys. I'm sorry, I can't help it, but at least when this kind of stuff happens, you guys get to learn something, because I now have to go full troubleshooting mode. And if it includes draining this loop, thank goodness I have the fill and drain situation figured out. I don't think it would be that bad, actually. All right, wish me luck.